its own.
Well, if we're all slivers off of the Creator, okay, then why couldn't those slivers also travel to different places at different times to collectively come back?
Exactly, with enough information to go through this, because some of the kids they said they could choose their mother and went down on a straight line and went right through the mother's head as soon as she got pregnant.
Yeah, and I believe that we can. I believe that we do. We do choose what life we want. Our parents are, the best ones for us. We go over a plan almost of, what we want to do, what we want to accomplish, what we want to learn.
Now, there's so many bitter old men, and I think I was becoming one of them until I learned that, my God, this is truly, well, what the hell was I going to say? This is just a portion of me. I chose this, and I've had some really horrible things happen throughout life, and who hasn't? I don't know what mine is on the Richter scale compared to yours, but I know I chose this. But I think you usually do opposites, and the opposite of what I had, was damn good.
Right. And this is a drop. Remember that. This life is a drop in the bucket compared to eternity. So us being here and us choosing to come here, because I've had people ask me before, why would I choose to come here ever? Because it is only a couple of minutes, or a couple
of seconds, 3 seconds.
Yeah, so it's only a few days or whatever. When you go back, it's only been a few days.
And we go, and Spirit that has come back said, don't worry about it. It's so, look, all I know, on July 4th, on 2013, I died twice at Blodgett Hospital. And I went places, and everything here was irrelevant.
Exactly.
It was so fast. First of all, I didn't want to come back to all these feelings that we got here and all the crap and bullshit. Where I was, there was none. But I knew that I still had purpose, and I was going to move forward or something, but I wasn't finished here. I didn't have anyone say, you're not done here, son. Push me back or anything. You just know. You just know when you come back. But I think I chose this and went through what I had to go through, and there's a very good chance the next life that I get into is going to be a lot better than this one. What about you?
Well, I also think that during our lives we have a respite, or we have several times that we can go back, and you can choose to or not. And also, we have usually 1/3 of our life that it really sucks, and it usually hits at the beginning, the middle, or the end. So, if we have those times where we can leave, when we decide to stay. And I don't know, they talk to me in dreams, or because I don't dream, I know that I'm being communicated with, and I don't remember when I wake up. But some people do remember when they wake up, and that's how they get the communication. Other people have the death experience like you had and have a chance to come back or not. I know I've almost been hit by a truck. I've been almost in an accident a couple times. And there was no way that I could have gotten out of that unless there was a divine hand in it. So I know I've had a few times that I could have gone back, and in that split second, just the 10th of a second, I got the information, they got the information, and decided not to happen. So whereas it could have. Or I could have decided to, or they could have said, no, that's it, or we're pulling you out, or whatever.
I'm a big believer that death is very inconvenient. You have no choice in it. Even if you do yourself in, it's at the wrong time. At least to us. At least to us. I know that there's been many times that I've approached death more so than in the hospital here, but survived it. Case in point, I'm a pilot. And before I was on my first solo, and I was going around, landing, going around, and my instructor was standing along the side of the runway, just go around one more, and a thunderstorm rolled in, and I got caught in a thunderstorm all alone in a small plane. And it was going all over the place. And I was having a ball. I didn't get scared, but I could have got ripped apart in the winds, the convection currents and so forth. And I found some clear spots and landed somewhere else. I guess my point is I could have went back then, but I had more to do yet. I had more pain to go through. My shit, I think, was in the middle third. I like the way you say that. Life sucks, the first third, middle third, or the end third.
Yeah.
I kind of like it in the middle. Now that I've been through it in the middle, I'm out of it. But
well, we also have cycles. People have cycles. They'll have so many years that it's good. If you actually look at your life and say, okay, from birth till age 7, life was good. From age 7 to 14, it kind of sucked. From 14 to if you go every 7 years, some people's cycle is 7 years. So every 7 years, they switch from good to bad to good to bad. I'm on about a 20-year cycle. So I had 20 years good, 20 years bad, 20 years, so it goes like that. But typically, like if you're having a really, really bad time, it's a third of your life. It's not your whole life. And a lot of that has to do with how you look at things, too. You were in a really bad place when I first met you. And now you're doing a lot better. And I told you something pretty simple to do, and that is turn any negative into a positive. Don't think any negative for a while.
Well, I've learned to spiritually Christ, and Christ is spirit. Christ is also a felon. You know that. They put him to death. But he said, approach life as a little child. Look at things as a little child. And that's really what I do now, because there's so much, Debra, that we don't know. That we don't know because we're not spirit now. And a lot of our slate is wiped clean when we take on a form like this. But then as spirit, we seem to, revisit places to regenerate who that spirit is, because that spirit is many different things depending on where it was when.
Right. And I do have a question on here too from Beverly Ann. So when you're ready for that, let me know.
Go
ahead. She wants to know if spirits who are dead, who made your life a living hell in life, if they still can do that when they have passed, and how to make them leave you alone.
Well, this is the great part of the show, because truly I have been an investigator and on the science side, and truly Debra is a medium and more spiritual. So I think you're probably going to get two answers, one from the physical science side and what I've seen in those cases, because I've been in them. And Debra, why don't you first say your side of it and what you know in respect to the question?
Okay, if spirits have not crossed over, if a spirit has passed but has not crossed over, yes, they can make your life a living hell like they did when they were here, because they still have not shed the emotion, the anger, the resentment, all the negative feelings associated with the person that they were when they were here. If they've passed over, like you said when you did, there was no emotion. They don't care. All this stuff is petty. It's not worth worrying about. They don't get upset. They don't feel resentment and anger and all of that. So, if you have a spirit that's bothering you, most likely that spirit has not crossed over. And if they haven't crossed over, then I would suggest an investigation, Beverly Ann, of your home and cleansing and getting that spirit to move to the other side, because they're also in anguish where they're at. And once they pass over, they won't care anymore. They'll be a perfect angel. They'll be, really good and not have all that resentment and stuff. So that's what I would suggest to you.
Yeah, right on, Debra. I think from the spiritual side, you're exactly right. Now, Beverly, I think you're just not making that up and throwing it out like a frisbee. I think you may know someone or yourself having that issue. There are ways of stopping spirit. Here's what I know through investigations. Many spirits that we have investigated, I can remember one in Detroit where a female police officer, now she's tough as nails, but she was having a hell of a time with something in there. We found, investigators, true investigators, do a lot of things even before they start investigating. First, they find out if the actual client is sane, because we get a lot of calls all the time with people wanting us to, after seeing a ghost show especially. But this one was in fact real, and you find out what it is and then what it wants, and then talk to the client, and this is this person, and he was a bastard then and he's a bastard now. Here's what I know. In our dimension, the third dimension, up, down, sideways, and forward and back, if a spirit decides to come in our water, I call it they're in salt water and they're freshwater fish. If they decide to come here, we have more power than them. A couple of the ways that we have the power is something that Deb taught me, and that was you can invoke the Holy Spirit, what I did to get rid of something. Two, you can, through the help of cleansing and so forth, force the spirit out of that location, never to come back. There are ways of doing it. Three, you can convince spirit to go to the light, even really bad spirits. We have done it. It takes some time, but the client themselves have to also stop at Home Depot and pick up a set of balls and mean it in the living room. Harold, you gotta go. You don't belong here anymore. The power in that is tremendous in the third dimension to the fourth. Somehow it has a resonance to them where they eventually cross. Once they cross, all that stuff goes away. I don't know, but I've been told, and Deb, what do you think? Yes, it's fixable. Very, very fixable. If everyone does everything right and puts the time and energy in it. And here's what happens, the beautiful thing. If you can get some asswipe spirit that's bothering you and they're at a low vibration, you can convince them to go to the light. And think of the beauty when they go to the light. What you help that soul go to. That's the miracle of us living here, is to help spirit and others. And I think that's why, Christ talked about, and he talked about spirit all the time. You helped move that spirit. I can't tell you how many times my team has moved spirit. I have it on video where a spirit has developed in front of my medium, took off and flew through the garage roof, a ball of light. We have it on video. If you want me to post it, tell me. I'll put it back in fourth dimension. Patty was our medium then. And the pleasure and the feeling of goodwill we had, knowing that something as angry and bitter as it was, like Debra said, because it had not crossed, it had all those feelings still here, and it had all that low vibration, to go to the light and have this thing, wish good for this bad son of a bitch. Wish all the best for it. Because once it goes to the light, all that stuff goes away. Debra, do these things have a low vibration?
Yeah, they do. And it depends on the spirit. Some just don't know they're dead. Some are still in shock. Some are in transition. Some have things that they want known before they go. Some think that they can help more being here than if they cross